Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is the Holistics Highlights Podcast. I'm Scott Kaplan, along with Grande Alejandro Padilla and the brown man, John Browner, and the brains of our operation. She runs all the marketing for Torrey Holistics, California Holistics, and Mammoth Holistics. Ruthie Edelson is here. Guys, it's been a little while. Glad we're all back together. Can't wait to meet our guests today. Ruthie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys? I've missed you guys.
I have missed you too. But I will say this. For anybody that was there, you know how awesome it was. For anybody who missed it, let me show it to you. Ruthie, what an amazing event you guys put on at California Holistics. We're watching video of it right now. This was so cool. And, oh, there she is. There's Ruthie. Hey, what up? This was so cool. I mean, a cannabis company that brings a lucha libre wrestling match to the parking lot of California Holistics. That was so much fun.
It was so fun. It was hilarious to watch. I've actually never seen one live, and it was so funny.
I was yelling and screaming at the referees,
Yeah.
and I was really into it. And at the end of it, my girlfriend's like, "That's all fake." And I'm like, "Wait a second. The guy in the mask here kept smacking the guy with no shirt on. He kept smacking him in the chest. You could hear it. You could see all the welts on the guy's chest. Don't tell me that's fake. That's real, man."
Yeah, man.
It was hilarious. So
As someone that grew up like watching wrestling on television, when I finally went to my first WWE event, I got the chance to sit front row, and I saw the Big Show slap the hell out of Rey Mysterio Jr. Ain't no one gonna tell me that slap was fake. Okay, nobody. Like, are the outcomes maybe scripted? Sure, but still, the action is 100% real.
The pain is real.
Oh yeah.
Ruthie, what motivates you guys to put on events like that? You know, you want people to come into the store and buy their cannabis products at Torrey, California, Mammoth Holistics, but what motivates you guys to put on really cool, fun events like the one we saw last weekend?
that is such a great question. So we have great partnerships with so many of our brands, and a lot of them have different things to offer. So for an example, Garcia brings that Airstream, which is amazing. And every time they offer it up to us, we take it. And this event came up as an opportunity, and we jumped on it. I think that part of my job and what I'm super passionate about is breaking down the stigma. And so if we could do that with including other things that people have interest in and bring them to our place and meet our consultants and see how beautiful the shop is, I think it could kind of open that door for that conversation for them. I've met a great couple that actually came from more my area, Mount Helix, and they came down there to see it. They saw the PR and the Union Tribune, and they were taking amazing pictures and enjoying it. And I had the opportunity to have a great conversation with them on cannabis. So I think it's just making those connections and help break down the stigma of it all.
I think today's guest is gonna have something to say about that as well. This is a brand that we're going to interview today, and we're going to talk to their founder, Kate Miller from Miss Grass. Ruthie, I don't know the company Miss Grass. What do you know about them, and what can you tell us before we talk to Kate?
Yeah, it's a women-owned, women-run company. It's great flower and joints. Their Instagram is so phenomenal. The content they put out there is, I feel like, freeing the woman of all desires, and they're just on point. So I'm really excited to talk to Kate and hear about her story and how she came into the business and why she created it. I don't know that part of it, but I do know they have a phenomenal products and aesthetics to go along with it.
And does Scott and myself, and not sure about Browner, do we not know about it on purpose? Like, are they really kind of aiming towards women?
Yeah, I mean, that is their demo for sure. I think that could be done on purpose. However, I know that I have shared some of these joints with men in my life whom have enjoyed them tremendously. So I think it's a product for everyone. But yes, I think it could be geared towards women.
Browner, next time they do one of those lucha libre matches, you and me should be a tag team, dog.
No.
So no, come
No,
on, John. You don't want to see them in those
no,
outfits in the ring?
no. See, here's the thing. Other men sweat. Don't want it on me. Don't want it
But
on me.
you could be the guy like the manager or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This guy played basketball forever. Men sweated all over him. Come on, man.
No. See, two totally different scenarios. I'm wearing a jersey. The contact is accidental. In a wrestling match, you are bare-chested, body to body, and it's like togetherness. I don't want that. I'm good. I'll pass.
It was an amazing event down at California Holistics. And I'll just say this. If you've not yet been to California Holistics, anybody who's listening and watching, the store is beautiful. The people who work there are incredibly knowledgeable. And the lineup of products really are quite interesting. I was telling Alex about products intended specifically for dogs because his dog was not well. And you know what he told me? I beat you to it, man. I'm already there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Nelly is a dog THC user, 100%.
Yeah. So it's really the store down at California Holistics in Chula Vista is amazing. Obviously, everybody already knows Torrey Holistics, which is a little further north. And Ruthie, in a couple of weeks, I'll be heading up to Mammoth. So I will certainly be stopping by our friends at Mammoth Holistics. So with all of that being said, let's meet today's guest. Here she is. She is the founder of Miss Grass. Her name is Kate Miller, and we look forward to hearing all about her story. Well, Kate, it's great to have you on the Holistics Highlights podcast. Thanks so much for doing this. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you in particular, Ruthie, for inviting me.
Yes, of course. We're so excited to talk to you more and hear more about your brand and how you got started with Miss Grass.
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, why don't we start right there? Can you kind of give us the background of Miss Grass? Because, by the way, I'm looking at your Instagram and I'm like, damn, they got like almost 1 million followers on Instagram. I don't know how you guys built that, but that's awesome.
You added about 900,000 to that number, but I'll take it.
Did I really? Did I really add that many?
Did. We're close to 100,000, but we're nowhere close to 1 million. But
well,
I will take all of that.
Well, excuse me. I guess my math skills aren't so hot today.
It's all good.
If you could, though, just start us off with how did Miss Grass come to be? Like, what's the background of all of this?
Yeah. So, personally, I've always loved this plant at an earlier age. I grew up in New Jersey, got introduced to this plant through my brother, who had a stronger relationship to weed and landed up getting arrested and expelled from high school for cannabis. I'm a year younger than my brother, went to the same high school. So kind of saw, or at an earlier age, remember just being more conscious around this plant and diving in a bit deeper on understanding the history of it and the war on drugs. And but again, like grew up in Jersey where cannabis was very much not accepted. But when I went out to California, I went to university in Los Angeles. California had a medical program at the time. So having seen my brother go through what he went through there and then moving out 2 years later to California where cannabis was celebrated and so integrated into the culture out here, and I could walk into a legal dispensary and have choices with the products that I could choose, different form factors, I was just blown away. And that's kind of when I dove really deep into the cannabis space. I landed up working throughout college as a bud tender and a medical bud tender in a dispensary in downtown LA. This is early days. This is 2007, 2008, my junior and senior year of college. So the industry looked a bit different than it does now, but it is what planted the seed for Miss Grass. Back then, I didn't really feel there was a brand that authentically catered to myself or the many people in my life who were consuming this plant. And I didn't see anything that made the education side around cannabis accessible. So bought the URL in 2008, missgrass.com. I was a GoDaddy hoarder at the time, so it was one of like the 30 that I bought. And luckily this one did come to fruition. But a decade later, I had a career in entertainment, working for TV and film producers in LA, and then worked for a company in New York that produced Saturday Night Live and The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Lauren Michaels' company, Broadway Video, and started looking back into the spaces. Cannabis reforms started to sweep the nation. California had just voted to go rec. and decided like now more than ever it was the right time to pursue Miss Grass full time, and decided to quit my entertainment career, and I moved back out to Los Angeles in 2017, and we launched the brand in January of 2018.
So you kind of like glossed over that whole, like, I was working for a company that produced SNL and Jimmy Fallon, and I was like doing this, sounds like a cool job. So did you go back into the cannabis industry because simply your love of the plant that you got from college and your whole life, or is it because you're like, I see the future of this plant and I see like the where it's going and the trajectory of this industry, and you're like, that's a smart business move?
Both. I've always been really entrepreneurial. I've had like a million side hustles. And honestly, Miss Grass was one of those at that time. I launched the website and was driving traffic to cannabis accessory companies and taking a referral fee. And you know, it was the perfect marriage of where my passion lied, which I was an avid cannabis consumer. I loved this plant. I geeked out on the science and the history and the products and the developments of cannabis reform. And then the business opportunity, finally, I could justify it as reform started to sweep the nation, as more capital started to be invested in the space. And ultimately, I saw a clearer path to making that my full-time career, which, you know, I love this plan and I'm doing it as such a passion project, but I'm not going to lie, I'm also doing it. I hope that this is an extremely financial successful endeavor for myself and for everyone involved as well.
Right.
You know what's amazing?
So
is
when
that
you have a situation,
excuse me, real quick. You know what's amazing, John? When you hear somebody say that they moved to California to kind of pursue a dream, you think of the entertainment industry. You, on the other hand, seem to have been successful in the entertainment industry in New York. And rather than coming to Hollywood looking to get into the movie business or the TV business, you actually left the entertainment industry in New York to come to Hollywood to get into the weed business.
That's true. I did start my entertainment career, though, in LA. I worked for a guy named Ben Silverman out in Los Angeles before I moved to New York for Broadway video. But yes, what brought me back to Los Angeles the second time was weed. Back then, 2017, nothing. I mean, maybe Colorado, but as it relates to creating a brand in this space, I felt that California, not specific Los Angeles, but I had a relationship there from going to college in the city. But I felt like there was no other place for me to start Miss Grass than Los Angeles.
when you have the experience with it that you have, what happened to your brother? So your passion for all sides of the business, the financial side of it, the actual production side of it, and the way that you can help people criminalized by the system is a completely different driving force that we've interviewed before. So what's that been like for you to have a real legit win behind your sales after experiencing what happened to your brother?
Yeah, I mean, it's been integral to Miss Grass from day one of making sure that, you know, creating an equitable industry was like core to the mission of Miss Grass, that educating consumers so that they're aware of not only consumers, but, you know, leaders in the space as well, but consumers too, I think are like, I mean, we see this in all things right now, like consumers are the one that are making real impact and real change. So we do a lot to educate and bring awareness to consumers on this plant's frankly racist roots to make sure that they know what's up. They know the people behind these brands. They're voting with their dollars. They're supporting the brands that they you know, align with value-wise. And then we also align and have always in the past 5 years with a lot of, you know, organizations that are doing tremendous work, way more work than even we're doing. Like Last Prisoners Project is a great organization. Women's Prison Association is an organization that we've had a relationship with for the past 4 years. We've held hands with them on a number of events. We most recently did a textathon, which was all-day programming where we gave out a number and people could text in. We programmed out with different people like PhD Alex Capano, who's a PhD has a PhD in cannabis, which didn't realize that was a thing until she was the first person I met that had a PhD in cannabis.
I just found that out right now.
Really? Yeah. She is. Oh, I could listen to her speak for hours. She is so knowledgeable about the science side of this plant. But we programmed out people. People could text in their questions, and ultimately raised close to $10,000 for the Women's Prison Association. And they are an incredible organization, not just specific to cannabis, but a lot of the work that they do is around supporting, in particular, women who have been in prison, either still are or have been in prison, and do a lot with reintegration back into society, getting them help with getting career opportunities, supporting expungement. So, just because you have and may have been off the hook for something, you still have a criminal record, which impacts your life in perpetuity if that is not cleared.
Yeah.
So we do a lot on the expungement side. So yeah, that has been, I think early on seeing that with my brother, but then not even with my brother. Like, I have met people who have had it, there's a level of like fucked upness scale, and it's all fucked up, but I've seen people who got way more fucked than my brother, and excuse my language, but
no, fuck that girl, go ahead.
So I almost feel like privileged and lucky of my brother, didn't go to prison for a decade of his life, like so many people who I have met that have really dramatically impacted their lives. So, learning more about this plant and diving deeper into it, it just continues to fuel the mission and the work that we do at Miss Grass.
Ruthie, we've heard this before from other folks that we've interviewed on this podcast, that there is a mission. It's I'd like to make money, of course. I want to be a successful entrepreneur, of course. But given the history of cannabis versus what today is in cannabis, and I know we even talked before Kate got here about just trying to get past the stigma of it all. I find it fascinating to listen to people in the industry talk about their passion for what we're talking about here this afternoon, which is, changing the way people think about this.
Yeah, I think that when you're in the industry and on a day-to-day basis, we hear the most amazing stories of how this plant is helping people. And that just solidifies and gives us more fire and energy to go out there and break the stigma and take social action. So it's something that we deal with and see and talk about on a day-to-day basis.
So true.
Yeah. One of the things that I find interesting, and Ruthie and I have had this conversation many times, is, especially with the way things have changed here in California, I'm happy to walk into Torrey Holistics. I have no issue walking into California Holistics, but sometimes, believe it or not, and I wouldn't have known this if it wasn't for Ruthie pointing it out, but sometimes females have a more difficult time walking into a dispensary, especially if they don't know a lot going in. But it seems like Miss Grass is very female focused. Would you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, and that, what you just said is literally why I, in 2008, went home and bought the URL. I was working at the dispensary. I had an experience where this woman came in. Granted, again, it was a time where when you walked into the dispensary, you walked through a metal detector. We had a dab bar on one side. So it was a different time. But she was terrified to be there. You can tell. She was so uncomfortable. She came up to me and explained, she has no idea where to start. She has a whole host of medical issues, stress, anxiety, which led to her not be like serious insomnia because she hasn't been able to sleep. And she's tried every pharmaceutical pill that her doctor prescribed her. And a friend of hers, over some time, finally convinced her, just go to the dispensary, get weed. It's going to change your life. And you can tell again, like, she was just terrified to be there. She had zero idea where to start. And in that moment, I went home and I was passing a joint freely around with friends. And I just remember thinking man, that's so messed up that this woman was terrified to even explore a plant that literally grows from the ground and ultimately would be something that pretty much I'm pretty confident that would transform her life. And she was terrified to even explore that. And she tried every, Xanax and you name it before she ultimately decided to pursue cannabis. So that, that day, or maybe not the exact day, but right around that time was when I bought the URL missgrass.com. this industry has transformed a lot, and experiences like Torrey Holistic, going in and just feeling so welcome and aesthetically it feeling pleasing, has really done wonders for making all types of consumers, and in particular women, feel more comfortable in that experience, which historically was never, there was never a place, there was not a brand, there was not a dispensary that really, put women front and forward. And that is, what we set out to do at Miss Grass. We are not exclusively for women, but we are run by women. We definitely cater to the feminine spirit, and ultimately women are the fastest growing cannabis consumer demographic of all age groups in every single state. So it's also good business.
That's awesome.
I think it's interesting that we've seen the industry take a turn and become more open. The doors become more open and more welcoming. How often do you see these ads and these demonstrations of strong women doing something that was once so stigmatized? It's kind of a relief that more people are coming underneath the tent and making it more acceptable in small groups, because that's where change begins.
Yeah, it's so true. Ruthie, I know working in the industry, you probably have a million stories of, customers coming in and sharing personal stories. We've had so many people reach out to us at Miss Grass. And to your point, it's those personal, smaller group. And especially this is a plant that has such it's a experience, like passing a joint to someone. I can't tell you how many incredible connections I have made over passing a joint to someone, and like the conversations, the impact, breaking down boundaries, breaking down walls, breaking down stigmas, it's really meaningful. And to your point, it really starts from that inner circle, and it bleeds beyond there.
Well, so when you go to Miss Grass, what you guys didn't initially start off selling? I mean, I know you bought the domain in 2008, but when you really started Miss Grass, you guys didn't start selling cannabis right away, right? You kind of created this community.
Us 3 years to start selling weed.
What'd you do in those 3 years to create the community that is Miss Grass?
So we've always had our online platform, which we still do. So we have an online magazine. We do a lot on the content side, mainly educational content. So we still have that on missgrass.com, and we were doing a ton of events, still do. A lot of partnerships, so holding hands with different incredible organizations, some of which I mentioned before. We did a big conference up at the University of Berkeley. We've done panels at Soho houses across the world, at Lululemon's, Aloe Yoga's, Hoxton hotels. We did a lot of events, again, mainly education-led. And from a business side, we had a third-party marketplace where we were selling federally legal items, so accessories, ancillary products, as well as hemp-derived CBD products. And then, focus on growing community over the first 3 years of the business. And we've now scaled that across the country, around the world even. And because we've, had that first person relationship with the community, we collected so much data too that informed what ultimately became the Miss Grass product line. And that we launched 20 months ago. So fairly new. And we launched in the California market first, and we're now sold in 4 states: California, Nevada, Illinois, and Massachusetts.
Wow. You guys are on fire. You talk about product line. Ruthie, you could probably jump in on this one. I'd be curious to know, because honestly, I have to say I'm new to the brand. Can't wait to go into Torrey Holistics and buy some so that I can try it for myself. Outside of flower, I mean, could you just go through what the product line is, like how people can ingest the Miss Grass products?
Yeah, was that for me or for Ruthie? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I mean, I would first want to hear from you, and then Ruthie, could you tell us how Miss Grass does in the stores?
Yeah, and I could tell you what my favorite is.
So, Kate, what are the different kinds of products?
So we have pre-rolls, infused pre-rolls, and flower SKUs. Our pre-rolls, our hero SKU is the Miss Grass Minis. They're packs of pre-roll mini joints. There's 5 joints in them. Each of the joints are 0.4 grams. So Again, mini size. And they also come with a matchbox because we all know we're always looking for our lighters.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Who's got a lighter? Does anybody have a lighter? I know I saw a lighter. There was one in
How many times have we all been in that situation?
Oh my
so
God,
true.
that is so funny.
The other day I was smoking a minis. I had the matchboxes there and I was still looking for my lighter until I realized like, like I have matchboxes right in my hand. But yeah, and then the flour, we have two different sizes in flour. We have a generous eighth, so that's a 4.2 gram. A traditional eighth is a 3.5. So we're a little bit generous there, as well as a half ounce, a 14 gram jar. And those come in beautiful tinted color glass square jars that honestly, they're all over my apartment. I use it as a toothbrush holder now. I like upcycle those in every which way I can.
That's cool. Ruthie, how about favorite products?
They are the 1-to-1 mini joints. Love those.
Those are good. Those are special. It's a nice little kind of like microdose of a high. It's really balanced because that CBD is an antidote to THC, so knocks the cannabinoid receptor off. So it really does. It's light, which is nice because I think traditionally, or at least right now, it seems like a lot of consumers just reach for the highest of the high possible on the THC side, and there's a time and a place for a 1-to-1 for sure.
Especially when you have two teenagers running around, like trying to play it cool and chill and all that good stuff. But Kate, you said so many great things. So I have one comment and then one question. Yeah. So I loved how you talked about something was said, now I'm totally blanking, probably stoner brain, but the harm reduction of, part of what you guys do and all the education I feel like is so, so important. And it's something that our schools lack and everywhere lacks. And I think that is part of why women don't feel safe going into a dispensary, especially I know a lot of the moms feel uncomfortable because if they're children ever found it or anything like that, they don't even know how to explain that because everyone's telling kids just say no, don't do this, don't do that. Alcohol, you can drink a glass of wine and it's totally normal, and you tell your kids not to drink it until they're 21 or whatever you do in your own house. And then here it's like, well, I want to try it, but how do I even talk to my kids about it? Or what do I say? Or I don't want to be caught with it, or I don't want to be seen in a dispensary. So I feel like, the constant content and education and speaking about it and helping parents and moms and women kind of break through that fear is so important. So you guys are doing awesome work there. And then
thank you.
Now that you're back in LA, are some of your old peers and bosses hitting you up for some good weed?
I don't know if I should share their like consumption behaviors, but I think Ben is pretty open about his. But he definitely has been in many dispensaries and has seen Miss Grass. So he shot me a note actually recently, just congratulating me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
I would think though that like the writers meetings at SNL would call you and go, yo,
let's just say that the hallway on the writers night just reeked of weed. It definitely is used as a creative catalyst there for sure.
I would just like to ask you, where does it all come from? We've interviewed so many people that are like hardcore farmers, if you will, it sounds to me, and this is just in our 30-minute conversation thus far, that you have a real passion for the entrepreneurial side, for the female side, for the for the flower itself, or for the plant, and for the brand. I'm just like, where does all of the Miss Weed stuff come from?
Miss Weed. So because sadly it's not federally legal, you actually need to grow it and manufacture it.
I say Miss Weed, excuse me, Miss Grass, pardon me.
No, it's
That
okay.
I've had a hard time today. I saw 85.8 and I took that as 858,000 rather than 85,800. So just pardon. And you've used the word weed so much, so please pardon me, Miss Grass, excuse me.
No, you're all good.
By the way, we should get the URL missweed.com too.
Yeah, maybe
It's-
it should. I bet
it's
now,
Miss
2022
Grass.
is not
Listen,
going to be available.
It's Miss Grass when you hang out during the daytime. It's Miss Weed if you nasty, if you know what I mean.
So because it's federally illegal, we have to, the plant needs to be grown, manufactured, processed, and distributed state by state by state. You cannot cross state boundaries, which makes supply chain and growing a nationwide and even global brand very challenging, just given the regulatory framework. So in every single state, we have supply chain partners. So we'll partner with, it sounds like people who were on, previously on this podcast, who are like hardcore farmers who know everything about the soil and this is how, so we'll hold hands with them. We'll work very closely with our cultivation partners in every single state so that they are growing flower and strains that meet the Miss Grass specs. We are really adamant and focused on terpene profiles, which ultimately terpenes are what, when you smell cannabis and it smells a specific way, you're smelling the terpenes. Terpenes also are really impactful as it relates to affecting the high. So limonene, for instance, is a terpene that is also found in lemons, but it impacts, and it'll be found more in like what people refer to as the sativa strains. So it'll be that, contribute to more of an uplifting high. So for us, we focus on making sure that our 3 SKUs, which are across all of our product lines, Fast Times, the uplifting sativa leaning high, All Times, which is just a straight up balanced high, and then Quiet Times, which is more relaxing in your body high. We'll make sure that each of those 3 different SKUs have a consistent terpene profile. So from state to state to state, we'll work with our cultivation partners to ultimately grow a flower that meet those specs. And then that's what goes into the product.
Really cool. Really cool. Ruthie, how does Miss Grass do? I mean, I must admit, I don't know if it's marketed more towards women than men, but this is the first I'm getting the chance to meet Kate, obviously, who's the co-founder of the company. And I can't wait to come into Torrey Holistics and actually buy some of our products, especially because like my daughters are now like really into cannabis, so yeah. I think that they would really kind of enjoy it. But how do the products do in the store?
Yeah, it's actually hard to keep on the shelves, to be quite honest. It's a popular product. The packaging is beyond amazing. Like, I saw their packaging at a packaging company that I was checking out before they were in the store. And out of 20 or 30 different packages, I gravitated directly to them. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? We need this. I absolutely love it. And I love their 1-to-1 since I'm more of a microdoser. So it's hard. It is hard to keep on the shelves for someone like us. And I think their Generous Eighth is very popular as well. And we have a great partnership with them. So it's definitely hard to keep on Torrey Holistic shelves, but we have them.
We love you guys. We really value and are grateful for the partnership.
Yeah, we have a great partnership with Miss Grass, and everyone I've ever worked with there has been absolutely amazing, and they stand for great, great things. So love them.
Well, Kate, we would look forward to seeing you when you come down to San Diego from LA, and come down and visit Torrey or
do an event. We can do an event and have.
Would love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Let's definitely plan that.
Yeah, that would be great. Kate, congratulations on all your incredible success. For everybody who's listening and watching, the website is missgrass.com. The Instagram is @missgrass. And really terrific content on both the website and on the Instagram. So congratulations to you. I mean, what a really, like, I hate to say it because it's Miss Grass, but what a ballsy move, to be involved in the entertainment industry. And people dream about working for SNL, working for Lorne Michaels, and to chase your dream and take a risk to get into the industry that you care so much about. Just really, really, really a cool story to hear.
Scott,
Thank
and
you so
doing it
much.
so well and being successful at it and starting to grow in other states. It's really amazing. So happy for you.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Well, Kate, we look forward to seeing you when you make it down to San Diego, to Torrey Holistics and to California Holistics. Congratulations on all your success. And we'll look forward to trying out the Miss Grass products.
Yes. Let me know what you think when you do.
Can't wait. Okay, everybody. Hey, that's going to do it for another episode of Holistics Highlights. I hope you got as much out of this interview as I know we all did. And we will see you for the next episode. Until then, everybody, peace out.